There's a man in every room who never raises his voice, never competes for attention, never performs. He stands still while others fidget. He speaks last while others rush to fill the silence. And somehow, without trying, without effort, without the desperate energy that radiates from men who are starving for validation, he becomes the center of gravity. The room bends toward him. Conversations pause when he speaks. Eyes find him when he moves. Women notice him not because he's chasing their attention, but because his presence whispers something most men have forgotten how to communicate. I don't need you to complete me. I'm already whole. This isn't charisma. This isn't charm. This is something deeper, something the ancient Stoics understood 23 centuries ago, and something modern men have traded for Instagram likes and desperate text messages at 2 in the morning. The truth is brutal and liberating in equal measure. The moment you stop trying to be attractive, you become it. The second you release your grip on outcomes, they fall into your hands. When you embrace the discipline of silence, stillness, and self-mastery, you don't just change how others see you, you transform who you actually are. And that transformation, brother, that's what makes you unforgettable. Most men are taught the opposite. They're told to be loud, to take up space, to dominate conversations, to prove their worth through constant performance. They talk about their achievements, their plans, their opinions. They fill every silence with noise because silence feels like failure. They check their phones every 30 seconds because stillness feels like invisibility. They bend their boundaries, reshape their schedules, and abandon their purpose the moment a beautiful woman shows interest because they've been taught that her attention is the prize. But here's what those men never learn. The prize isn't her attention. The prize is becoming the kind of man who doesn't need it. This isn't a game. This isn't manipulation. This is the ancient art of self-mastery applied to modern life. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his meditations to attract women. He wrote them at night, alone in his military tent, trying to become a better man. Epictetus didn't teach the dichotomy of control so his students could get dates. He taught it so they could build unshakable character. Seneca didn't practice voluntary discomfort to impress anyone. He did it to forge resilience. But here's the fascinating part. These men, these ancient philosophers who focused entirely on internal excellence, they possessed a magnetic quality that transcended their era. Not because they were trying to be attractive, but because they had become something rare. Men who had mastered themselves. Let me show you how this works in practice. Let me walk you through 9 habits, 9 disciplines, 9 ways of being that separate men who chase from men who attract. These aren't tricks you perform, they're transformations you embody. And once you integrate them, once they become part of who you are rather than things you do, everything changes. The first habit might surprise you because it goes against everything modern dating culture preaches. It's the discipline of strategic silence. Not the awkward silence of someone who doesn't know what to say. Not the cold silence of someone playing games. The intentional silence of someone who understands that words lose power when you waste them. Most men are terrified of pauses. They fill every gap in conversation with nervous chatter, with jokes, with stories designed to prove how interesting they are. They think silence is failure, that if they're not talking, they're losing. But silence is a weapon, and most men have no idea how to wield it. When you ask a woman a question and she answers, "What do you do?" most men immediately respond. They're already thinking about what they'll say before she finishes talking. They're performing, not listening. But a man who understands strategic silence does something different. He waits. 2 seconds, 3 seconds. He holds her gaze. He processes what she actually said, and he lets that pause create weight. In those seconds, something profound happens. Her mind begins to work. She wonders what you're thinking. She replays her words. She becomes aware of your attention in a way she never is when someone rushes to fill the space. That pause creates cognitive tension, and cognitive tension creates fascination. The neuroscience backs this up. When you create a pause, you're forcing her brain to complete a loop. Humans are pattern recognition machines. We need closure. An unanswered question, an unfilled silence, it gnaws at us. And the person who creates that tension, who can sit comfortably in that space, they become magnetic. Because silence signals something most men can't fake: self-sufficiency. A man who needs her validation can't tolerate silence. A man who's complete within himself can let it breathe. Epictetus taught that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak. This wasn't just about being polite. It was about power. The man who speaks less controls more, not through manipulation, but through presence. When your words are rare, they carry weight. When you're comfortable in silence, you communicate something that transcends language. I don't need to fill this space because I'm not afraid of it. And fear, brother, fear is the scent that kills attraction faster than anything else. But silence alone isn't enough. You can be quiet and still radiate anxiety through every muscle in your body. This brings us to the second discipline, the one that most men violate every single day without realizing it. Physical stillness. Watch men in any social situation. They're constantly moving, shifting their weight, adjusting their clothes, checking their phones, playing with their hair, fidgeting with their drinks. Their bodies are screaming a message their mouths never say: I'm nervous, I'm uncomfortable, I need something to do with this energy because I can't just be here. Now picture the opposite, a man standing with his weight evenly distributed, his hands at his sides or clasped in front of him, but not moving. His head still, his breathing deep and even. He's not rigid, not tense. He's relaxed, but contained. When he moves, it's deliberate. When he reaches for his drink, it's a complete action. One movement, no adjustments, no fidgets, no nervous energy leaking through his fingers. That man commands attention without saying a word. The psychology here is profound. We have mirror neurons in our brains. When we observe someone, our nervous system begins to sync with theirs. If you're anxious, she feels anxious. If you're fidgety, she feels unsettled. If you're calm, centered, still, she begins to feel that too. Your physical state becomes her emotional state. This is why women talk about feeling safe around certain men. It's not just about physical protection. It's about nervous system regulation. She can relax because you're relaxed. She can be still because you're still. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Physical stillness is the practice of that principle. You're not reactive. You're not controlled by impulses. You don't need to move just because there's empty space. You don't need to check your phone just because 5 minutes have passed. You're present, grounded, here. And that presence, that groundedness, it's magnetic in a world where everyone is scattered. This is where most men start to understand that attraction isn't about doing more. It's about being more intentional with everything you do, which leads us directly into the third discipline, one that modern social media has nearly destroyed: the practice of strategic mystery. In an age where people broadcast their entire lives, where every thought becomes a tweet and every meal becomes a photo, where vulnerability has been weaponized into a performance, the man who guards his inner world becomes fascinating by default. Mystery isn't about being secretive for the sake of games. It's about understanding that not everything needs to be shared. Not every thought needs to be vocalized. Not every experience needs to be explained. When you meet someone new and they ask about your life, most men unload their entire story in the first conversation. Where they're from, what they do, their past relationships, their future plans, their insecurities, their dreams. They think vulnerability creates connection. And it can, but only when it's earned. When you share everything immediately, you're not being authentic. You're seeking validation through disclosure. A man who practices strategic mystery answers questions, but he leaves room for imagination. She asks what you do. You tell her, but you don't give her your resume. She asks about your past. You acknowledge it without turning the conversation into therapy. She asks about your plans. You share enough to intrigue without revealing the full map. This isn't deception. This is discretion. It's understanding that the human mind is drawn to what it doesn't fully understand and repelled by what's been completely explained. There's a psychological principle called the Zeigarnik effect. It describes how our brains remember incomplete tasks better than completed ones. An open loop stays active in our minds. We keep thinking about it, turning it over, trying to close it. When you practice strategic mystery, you create open loops. She knows some things about you, but not everything. Her mind keeps working even when you're not there. She wonders, she imagines, she becomes curious. And curiosity, properly cultivated, is a more powerful force than any pickup line ever invented. The Stoics understood this intuitively. Marcus Aurelius kept his meditations private. They were never meant to be published. Epictetus taught his students but didn't seek fame. Seneca was a public figure but guarded his inner life fiercely. They knew that dignity requires discretion, that power is diminished when everything is exposed. Your thoughts, your struggles, your journey, these are sacred. Share them selectively with people who've earned access. Everyone else gets the version of you that's polite, present, but protected. But mystery without boundaries is just smoke. This is where the fourth discipline becomes critical. The practice of maintaining unwavering boundaries. This is where most men fail spectacularly. They meet a woman they're attracted to, and suddenly every boundary they claim to have dissolves. She texts at midnight. They respond immediately, abandoning their sleep schedule. She cancels plans last minute. They immediately offer alternatives, communicating that their time has no value. She disrespects them subtly. They laugh it off, afraid that standing up for themselves will cost them her attention. Here's the truth that will set you free. Boundaries aren't walls. They're not rejection. They're standards. They're the lines that define who you are and what you accept. When you hold boundaries, you're not being difficult. You're being self-respecting. And self-respect, properly embodied, is the foundation of every form of attraction that actually lasts. The ancient Stoics were obsessed with this principle. Epictetus built his entire philosophy around the dichotomy of control, understanding what's yours to protect and what isn't. Your time is yours. Your energy is yours. Your peace is yours. These things are within your control, and protecting them isn't selfish. It's essential. When you maintain boundaries, something shifts in how others perceive you. The scarcity principle kicks in. What's easily obtained is undervalued. What requires effort to access is treasured. When your time isn't available at any moment, it becomes valuable. When your attention isn't given freely to anyone who demands it, it becomes a gift. This isn't manipulation. This is natural human psychology. We respect what respects itself. Practically, this looks like simple but powerful actions. She texts you at midnight. You're asleep. You respond when you wake up naturally, not when your phone buzzes. She cancels plans with short notice. You acknowledge it, but you don't immediately rearrange your life to accommodate her. You had plans. you keep them. She tests your frame with a comment designed to make you defensive. You don't react. You stay centered. Your boundaries aren't negotiable, but they're also not aggressive. They're just there, quietly communicating, I value myself and I expect you to value me too. This discipline flows directly into the fifth habit, the one that underlies all the others. Outcome independence. This is the core Stoic principle applied to modern attraction, and it's the one that most men find impossible to embody because it requires you to genuinely not need the result, not pretend, not fake it. Actually release your attachment to whether she likes you, whether she texts back, whether this interaction leads anywhere. You engage fully, you're present completely, but you're not invested in controlling the outcome. The paradox is brutal and beautiful. The less you need it to happen, the more likely it happens. The more you release your grip, the more naturally things flow to you. But you can't fake this. You can't perform outcome independence. She'll smell the neediness underneath whatever game you're playing. Outcome independence has to be real, which means you have to genuinely be fulfilled without her. Your life has to actually be complete. Your purpose has to actually sustain you. Your identity has to actually be stable. Otherwise, every interaction becomes a test of your worth, and tests create anxiety, and anxiety creates the desperate energy that repels everyone around you. Marcus Aurelius spent his life practicing detachment from outcomes. He wrote about accepting what happens with equanimity, about understanding that you control your actions, but not their results. This wasn't pessimism, it was freedom. When you stop trying to control outcomes, you stop being paralyzed by fear of failure. You act clearly, you speak honestly, you engage fully because you're not burdened by the weight of needing it to work out a specific way. Here's how this looks in practice. Before you talk to her, you remind yourself, I'm complete either way. During the conversation, you notice if you're performing for approval or genuinely connecting. After the interaction, you don't refresh your phone every 30 seconds waiting for her response. You go back to your life, your mission, your purpose, because those things matter whether she texts back or not. This isn't apathy. You still care. You still prefer positive outcomes, but you're not defined by them, and that freedom transforms how you show up. Which brings us to the sixth discipline, the one that separates you from 99% of modern men who have forgotten how to do this. Radical presence. Being fully, completely, undividedly here. No phone, no distractions, no mental rehearsal of what you'll say next. Just attention, pure and concentrated, on this moment and this person. In a world where everyone is perpetually elsewhere, mentally scrolling through their feeds even while sitting across from you, the person who can actually be present becomes intoxicating. The Stoics called this memento mori, remember you will die, not as morbid obsession, but as radical wake-up call. This moment is all you have. This conversation is happening now and will never happen again. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the whole of time present is just a pinpoint in eternity. This second, right now, is your entire life. Everything else is memory or imagination. When you truly grasp this, presence becomes natural. You stop living in your head and drop into reality. What does this look like practically? Your phone is not just face down on the table, it's away, completely. When she speaks, your body turns toward her. Your eyes hold hers, not darting around. The room. You notice not just her words, but her energy, her emotions, the small shifts in her voice that reveal what she means beneath what she's saying. You respond to her actual communication, not the surface level. This level of attention is so rare that when someone receives it, they feel seen in a way that's almost shocking. The psychological power here is profound. When you're fully present, you create what researchers call interactional synchrony. Your nervous systems begin to harmonize. Time seems to slow down. The conversation flows. She feels safe enough to reveal her real self, not the performed version she shows most people. And when someone feels that level of safety and being seen, they don't forget you. They can't. Because you gave them something almost no one else offers anymore, your complete, undivided presence. But presence without stability collapses under pressure. This is where the seventh discipline becomes essential. Emotional stability, not emotional suppression, not pretending you don't feel things. The capacity to feel deeply while responding wisely. Most men fail this test spectacularly. She gets upset, they panic. She withdraws, they chase. She creates drama, they match her energy. They're emotionally reactive, which means they're controlled by external circumstances. And being controlled, being reactive, being emotionally volatile, it destroys attraction faster than almost anything else. The Stoic view of emotions is misunderstood. They didn't advocate for becoming unfeeling. They advocated for not being controlled by feelings. There's a space, Viktor Frankl later wrote, between stimulus and response. In that space lies your power. She says something that triggers you. There's a moment before you respond. In that moment, you can choose. React impulsively or respond with intention. Get defensive or stay grounded. Match her energy or maintain your center. Women test emotional stability constantly, not because they're cruel, but because biology programs them to assess whether you'll be stable under pressure. In evolutionary terms, your emotional stability determines whether you can protect and provide when circumstances get difficult. If you collapse when she's upset, she can't trust you when real problems arise. If you panic when she pulls away, you're not a secure base. If you get defensive when she challenges you, you're weak underneath the performance. This is practical, tangible, learnable. She's upset about something at work. You don't try to fix it. You don't make it about you. You hold space. You listen. You stay calm. She tests you with emotional withdrawal. You don't panic. You don't chase. You give her space, remaining centered in yourself. Conflict arises in conversation. You don't escalate. You don't match her intensity. You speak calmly. You acknowledge her perspective. You hold your boundary without aggression. This is emotional mastery, not control over her emotions, but complete authority over your own. But emotional stability without growth becomes stagnation. This is where the eighth discipline comes in, the one that makes everything else sustainable long-term. Relentless self-improvement. Not improving to get her, not changing yourself to match what you think she wants. The commitment to becoming excellent because that's who you've decided to be. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. This is the standard. High expectations for your own character, compassion for others' imperfections." Women are attracted to trajectory, to momentum, to men who are becoming something, not because they want a project to fix, because growth signals potential, and potential is exciting. A man who's stagnant, who's been the same person doing the same things for years, he's safe but boring. A man who's actively developing, who's reading, training, learning, building, he represents a future worth being part of. But here's the critical distinction. You improve because your standards demand it, not because her approval requires it. This looks like discipline across every domain. Physically, you train not for aesthetics, but for strength, resilience, capability. Mentally, you read widely, think deeply, expand your understanding of the world. Emotionally, you do the work. therapy if needed, meditation, journaling, facing your shadows instead of projecting them onto others. Professionally, you build competence, you contribute value, you become someone who solves problems rather than creates them. Spiritually or philosophically, you clarify your values and live by them, even when it's difficult. This compounds over time. The man who commits to improvement for 1 year is interesting. The man who commits for 5 years is formidable. The man who makes it a lifelong practice becomes rare, valuable, magnetic. Not because he's perfect, but because he's dedicated to excellence. And that dedication, that standard, it's visible in everything he does. She feels it. Everyone feels it. But all of this, every single discipline we've discussed, collapses without the 9th and final habit. The foundation that makes everything else possible. Operating from authentic purpose. Having a reason to exist that transcends pleasure, comfort, or validation. Something you're building, serving, creating, becoming. A mission that gives your life direction and meaning. Without this, every other habit becomes performance. With this, every habit flows naturally because it serves your greater aim. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. Epictetus taught philosophy. Seneca wrote and counseled. They had purposes larger than themselves. Their lives meant something beyond personal satisfaction. Modern men often avoid this work because it's difficult, because it requires confronting hard questions. What am I here to do? What's worth sacrificing for? What will my life have meant when it's over? It's easier to make women the purpose, to let relationships become the point. But when you do that, you become needy, desperate, without center. Because no person can be your purpose without crushing both of you under that weight. Purpose creates everything attractive about a man. It generates natural confidence because you know why you're here. It establishes boundaries automatically because you protect what serves your mission. It creates outcome independence because your purpose sustains you regardless of any single relationship. It makes presence easy because you're grounded in meaning. It provides emotional stability because you're not blown around by circumstances. It demands improvement because your purpose requires you to grow. It generates mystery because your life has depth beyond what anyone sees on the surface. When you have purpose, silence comes naturally. You're not desperate to fill space because you're not desperate for validation. Stillness emerges organically. You're centered in something real. Mystery exists without effort. Your life has dimensions she's only beginning to discover. Everything we've talked about, every discipline, every habit, they all flow from this foundation. A man on a mission doesn't chase attraction. It follows him, not because he's using techniques, but because he's become someone genuinely worth following. Here's what this means practically. You wake up every day with something to do that matters. Not just a job, though work can be part of it. Something you're building, creating, serving. Maybe you're developing a skill, starting a business, creating art, serving a community, raising a family with intention. Whatever it is, it's yours. It gives you direction. It makes you someone with somewhere to go, and women want to walk beside. Men who are going somewhere. The irony is perfect and inescapable. When you stop making women your purpose, they become more attracted. When you build your life around something meaningful, they want to be part of it. When you're not trying to be attractive, you become it. Because attraction, real attraction, that lasts beyond the first conversation, it's not about tactics. It's about substance. It's about becoming a man who has mastered himself, who has built something real, who stands for something beyond his own comfort. These 9 habits work together. Each reinforces the others. Practice strategic silence, and you naturally develop stillness. Cultivate mystery, and boundaries become obvious. Build outcome independence, and presence flows naturally. master emotional stability and improvement, becomes inevitable. Do all of this from genuine purpose, and you're not performing attraction. You're embodying it. This isn't easy. None of it is easy. Anyone who tells you there's a shortcut is selling you something. The Stoics were clear about this. Excellence requires discipline. Character requires practice. Becoming admirable requires becoming someone worth admiring, and that's daily work. But it's the only work that actually creates lasting results. You can learn all the pickup lines, all the texting strategies, all the psychological tricks. They might get you short-term results, but they won't make you into someone you respect. They won't build a life you're proud of. They won't create the kind of attraction that sustains a real relationship. What I'm describing is different. It's becoming the kind of man who doesn't need these videos, these strategies, these techniques. The kind of man who attracts naturally because he's built himself into something genuinely attractive. Not attractive because he's playing a role, but attractive because he's become someone valuable, someone centered, someone purposeful, someone who has done the work. Try this for 30 days. Pick one habit and make it yours. Practice strategic silence in every conversation. Notice what happens when you hold your body still in social situations. Guard your inner world for a month and watch how curiosity builds. Hold your boundaries without apologizing and feel the shift in how people treat you. Release your attachment to outcomes and notice how much lighter everything becomes. Give your complete presence to every interaction. Stay emotionally stable when everyone around you is reactive. Commit to genuine improvement in one specific area. Clarify your purpose and let it guide your decisions. One habit, 30 days. See what changes. Because I promise you, when you stop performing and start becoming, when you stop chasing and start building, when you release the desperate energy of needing validation and step into the quiet power of being complete, everything shifts. Not just with women, with everyone, with yourself. You become the kind of man you actually respect. And that respect, that self-possession, that groundedness, it's magnetic in a way that no technique ever could be. The most attractive man in any room isn't the one trying to be. He's the one who's forgotten to care because he's too busy being excellent, too focused on his purpose, too grounded in his values to waste energy on performance. Be that man. Do the work. Build the life. Master yourself. The attraction will follow, not because you chased it, but because you became worth chasing. If this resonated with you, if you felt something shift in how you understand attraction and masculinity, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel because we're building a community of men who are committed to excellence, who understand that the ancient wisdom still works, who are willing to do the difficult work of becoming someone genuinely valuable. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 9 habits you're starting with today. Which one challenges you most? Which one are you ready to master? Remember, the Stoics have been waiting 23 centuries to teach you this. Marcus Aurelius faced battles, plagues, betrayals, and he never lost his center. Epictetus was born into slavery and died free in every way that matters. Seneca counseled emperors and faced death with equanimity. These weren't men who had easy lives. They were men who built unshakable character. You have the same capacity, the same potential, the same choice every single day to become stronger, wiser, more centered. The most attractive man in the room isn't the one trying to be. Be that man.